We are live.
And Julie, you're on mute.
This is not how it's supposed to go. This is the downfall of success. When you are so successful like JC Doornick, the dragon, and Tia and Mika, you don't want to be around someone like me that doesn't know what they're doing. So I'm having a little technical difficulties, but that's okay. Let's do this. We have Dr. JC Doornick here, and he's going to speak to us about, well, I'll do that, the dark side of success, and why you need to know about the dark side of success is because we're all striving for something more. Mika is, Tia is, JC is. We all think there's something so powerful at the end of the rainbow, but I'm not quite sure. Tia, Mika, what are you thinking right now? Because JC is a repeat offender. He's been on the show before. To adulation, we needed to have him back. What are you guys thinking about success? Have you met it? Success is such a vanilla topic, but there is such an underbelly of things that happen on the road towards success, and also once you feel like you've hit success.
Yeah, I know personally for myself, like we started in the flea market for our vegan bakery and cafe, right? So we started very, very humble beginnings, like a booth at the flea market. Some of the grounds were not paved, right? And then clients kept saying, we can't wait for you to have a brick and mortar. We can't wait for you to have a storefront. And then we got a storefront. And then some of those same clients that were so supportive, they were like, oh, you have a nice store. You have and the tone changed. So there's certain things that you just don't expect. But it was there front and center. So there are stages to success, whatever success looks like for you. But it's really interesting to see the reactions of people. So it keeps you humble, and it does keep things interesting. What do you think, Tia?
I am excited to talk about success because my version of success has drastically changed over the last 2 years of my life. And there's been part of me that was almost nervous to get back into podcasting because I'm like, what is success going to look like in this realm as I still want to strive for success at home in my family life? And there's almost a fear of success in a career now because I want my family life to succeed so much. And so I'm excited to dive into the fear of success, knowing that there's the dark side of it. And what can we do for ourselves to get over that fear and still achieve in all of the areas that we know we deserve to?
Yeah.
That leads us to who, someone we're so obsessed with, the successful Dr. JC Doornick. And thank you for being here. What do you want to tell us about that climb to success and what it means to you? And I think when Tia talks about success, you can find success in so many different ways. Mika found success in so many different ways. What has it been like for you?
What a funny conversation to have. Like that, what's going on in my mind right now is I'm just kind of cracking up. So before we get into this talk, obviously, I'm so grateful for all of you. So grateful to be here on the Obsessed Show. But I'm also kind of like feeling like we've just gone through a time warp, because I remember the last time I was on this show, you guys look great. Right? You haven't aged. I mean, like, but to Tia's point, God, it's just so.
It's only been like 2 years, so
it hasn't really. It seems like I've known you guys forever, but still, 2 years in this crazy world that we live in right now. Just it's been an interesting ride. Been a very interesting ride. So I'm just saying, I'm just coming from this standpoint of gratitude. Just for the friendships. And to Tia's point, interesting to, acknowledge how success just changes all the time. What I like to say about success is that it sucks. I think success sucks. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and say that life sucks and then you die. And when I say that, the only person that would disagree with me is the person that's in this realm of like thinking they've figured everything out, right? Like maybe Tia before she had children. You know what I mean? Or Mika before she, had her brick and mortar, or before anything was started. So it's just so fun for me to acknowledge, because I've been through this, acknowledge somebody that thinks that they know what success is. So that's why I think it's such a funny conversation to have, because what I've learned is that the person that's truly successful is typically a person that doesn't know they are. Isn't that interesting? Because there's a level of humbleness to it, because you could be out there right now and saying like, I am super successful and I can teach you with my online course how to be successful as well. And meanwhile, like everyone is like, he's a narcissist, that guy, So it's just funny. I know we can talk about it, and I'll be able to put it in terms of what everybody understands success to be. But that's the first thought in my mind, is like, who the hell knows what success means? Because it's time sensitive. Looking at Tia right now, her success is based on, she's having another healthy child. It's like, what's more important than that? I mean, she's got her business goals and all of that stuff, but I think it's important for people to live in the present moment and allow themselves to just redesign things as they go. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. So I don't know where you guys want to go with this. Do you want to talk about the climb to it, or the interesting, double-edged sword of success? What would you guys like to discuss?
Definitely the dark side of success.
You guys want to go dark? You want to get dark?
Yeah, because it's something that we always think of when I reach this milestone, when I reach this number, when I reach this. It's like, party time, we celebrate, crack open the champagne, or in Tia's case, the sparkling Welch's grape. We celebrate. But there's a side that successful people, once we achieve it, we're like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. That other people that have not made it there don't get a chance to see. Like, they don't see JC. Like, they see that you're accomplished. They see your successful podcast. They see your growth as a human being. They see you like you understand yourself. You understand life. Like, you're put together, but they don't see the dark side of the success that you experience.
I just want you to keep talking about me right now.
I'll talk about all of you.
So there's two things that come to mind, because this kind of a topic could just go in so many different directions. But the two things that come to mind is one observation, because I think what you just shared is that like success for the most part is perceived as like some sort of a destination, but it never ends up being that way. So there's this concept of what's called a false peak. Climbers call it a false peak, which means that you're climbing a mountain and you think that you've summited the mountain, only to find that it's the base of the mountain because you couldn't see it behind the mountain. So that's one concept that is funny about success, is that it's this end-all destination with a finish line. I think a better way to look at success is, just a place you've never been that will take you to a new vantage point where you'll be able to see the next thing. It's an ongoing process. I'll just keep using, Tia, because she's in the throes of having her second child right now. Like right now, all she's doing a great job of being a wife and a mom, and she's got this new baby come. So you can imagine where her focus is. If she's out there trying to create wealth, it's for the child. So like the summit is this next child coming, and everything's focused on it. But as soon as that baby comes, and as soon as that great moment happens, right, then where does she go next? There's always a next step. And then the next thing that comes to mind is the observation of how few people, if you think about success as this table this table of success that sits at the top of a mountain, right? And if you have the ability to go look, how few people are sitting at that table. That's what's interesting about success, is that it's like this holy grail that, so few people acquire. And in the personal growth realm, you'll notice that that has to do with just people not following through, or not sticking to their guns, or not being consistent. I mean, think about how silly it is. How many people out there are just engrossed in, even my podcast, right? Engrossed in personal growth to try to fix one of those things, like to follow through more or whatever, right? But if you ask the people at the top of the mountain, that's what I love to do with hypothetically successful people. And this is important. If I consider someone successful, it might not be because they're successful at one of the sectors, physical, mental, or financial, right? It's when they're integrated in all of those success. That's what I've come to at this time identify, that a successful person is somebody that has their physical, their health, right? Their mental, their mindfulness, their ability to change the way they look at things and be agile, and then their finances. I think we live in a world right now, especially if you're engrossed in social media, where it's very much leaning towards financial freedom, right? Marcella says, hi, Puddin'. Who's Puddin'? I know I've never been called Puddin' before. Hey, Marcella. That must be you, Julie. You're muted again.
I'm not muted. I'm just listening.
Are you Puddin'?
I'm Puddin', yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start calling you Puddin'. But my point in what I'm saying there is, I think a lot of people are misled and wasting a lot of time, and need to start acknowledging how they're already successful, right? And then just identify what's the next step, right? But if you ask somebody that's sitting at this proverbial, like, I mean, a lot of people will ask me, they'll say, like, what's the secret to success? And this will uncover the dark side of success. I'll typically point at somebody that's going through a challenging time. And when I say challenging time, I mean somebody that's like really working hard. They're working on their physical, their mental, or their financial, and they're doing all the things that are going to leverage their success, but they're going through a hard time. This is how I show you the secret of success. And I'll point that person out. I'll say, see that person experiencing setbacks and letdowns, and maybe going through some trauma and tragedy in life, right? And you see how it's affecting them. I said, the secret to success is going forward anyway. Right? I mean, that's it. The people that are sitting up at the top of the mountain have all been through a myriad of things that would prompt them to not follow through, but they did anyway. So I would say the true secret to success is having your goal and your destination have so much value that it supersedes any reason for you to stop. I mean, that's the truth. When I see somebody stop, guys, it's not because they can't do it. It's because what they're going after is not as strong as their bullshit, And everybody has the ability to all of a sudden have a why that makes you cry and all that stuff. But I think maybe
that makes you cry.
Maybe people are going after something that they've been told they should go after rather than what they really want.
Like going to law school?
Huh? There you go, law school, chiropractic school.
Yeah.
Right.
But, we don't understand. I don't think our brains are fully formed and functioned until we know who we are. And I know I've chased after dreams. I have chased after dreams that I thought would make me happy. It would make my what did you always say? My mother, father, teacher, preacher happy. However, it never made me happy, right? So
yeah.
What makes you happy? Number one, I know my biggest stumbling block for success was always been myself.
Of course.
Because why?
But it's not your fault.
Well, it is my fault because I get tired. I have excuses. I am not communicating to my awesome partners, Mika or Tia or JC. I'm not talking to people. And I I get scared of success and I get scared of failure. So I hibernate. And you know what I do? I'm just going to go. I was going to say like knit or crochet or cook, but I don't do any of those. I just like watch TV or zone out. And that soothes the savage beast within me. Right?
I
It sounds
crochet,
good.
by the way.
What?
I crochet.
You
I
do?
just
Yeah, I've made blankets, hats. I know.
That does not surprise me, JC. What do you not do? What can't you do?
Oh, I can
Well,
tell
there's
you.
one thing I don't do is hang around with stupid people.
He
There
doesn't
you
like
go.
to eat Chicago pizza, but that's a
Yeah, I'm not a
conversation for
Chicago
another.
pizza fan.
I
You know,
think, Julie, to your point is, and JC's, like, it's not your fault that you're the biggest stumbling block in your way, but it is your
really,
responsibility
Yeah.
I think
because
it is
we've
my
been
fault.
conditioned to become our biggest stumbling block in this culture. And I don't think we were born in our own ways. I really don't. I think that we almost have to try to tap back into that intuitive side of us that we are born with to get to this version of success that we want to have or we want to get to. And I think we all have that within us. We're all born with that. But there's so much
Mhm.
stuff that gets piled on top of that as we age, as we grow, as we have different people enter our lives and circumstances, that it's hard to uncover that and find that true why. Like the one that makes you cry, the one that makes you
I
keep
want to
going
like.
when shit is hard.
I think Tia is
Love
so
this
on spot.
conversation.
Now, do you feel like you're successful, JC? Do you right now, this minute, Tia, Mika? Do you guys feel like you're actually successful? Do you feel like you are at that place you want to be, or is there something more? Or
I
is
am
that
not done.
you're
I
not?
know I'm not done. I have a lot more ahead of me that I want to do and that I get to do and I know I deserve to do.
Ditto. Yeah, I feel successful. Like I'm enjoying my journey just as much as I am excited about the destinations,
Mhm.
the multitudes of destinations. And I have learned, and some of the things I've learned from listening to from JC, and his mindset is just so, it's nice to be able to surround yourself with people with that mindset that have learned so much and that they've cultivated like a very fertile ground of just nurturing themselves and being bulletproof, and so just learning that the journey is maybe more important than the destination. You live your journey, then you've already arrived. You may not have gotten that award yet, but you've already arrived just from enjoying your journey. JC, what do you think?
I like his
Oh,
hat, by the
man.
way. If
Yeah, do you
guys
like this
listening,
hat?
he's got an awesome hat on, by the way.
That's me. I am a fan of Creative Con, but I am just for the rest of my life always going to be in support of my friend Julie. So
Aw.
you give me any hat, I will wear it.
Okay,
Julie.com.
challenge taken. Challenge taken.
Guys, this is a really crazy conversation we're having
Mhm.
because it's just so riddled with opinions. So I'll throw a different vantage point into that because I think what you're asking is like, do I feel successful? Do I consider myself successful? So I always like to add these powerful 3 words into the statement of at this time, which indicates that I might change my mind by tomorrow. But at this time, I'm at a place where I'm definitely not done. Right. I would, like this morning when I did my live show, I said, congratulations, everybody. It appears that you've been blessed with another 24 hours of life. Let's make it count. So should I have that blessing tomorrow, I'll be excited to greet the next day and keep going. But the real question is if I died today, would I feel that I've made my time count? That's how I measure my success, by my footprint and my legacy. I would love to work on it more. And there's so many more things, but I can tell you that, and I said this to my daughter, I want my kids to know this. I said to them, I go, listen, I'm 52, but I'm super healthy and I'm going after things. I'm more committed to life than ever. But if I did die today, I just want you to know that I am extremely happy with my life thus far. The positive, the negative. And that's what's funny about this dark side of success thing. is, you know, can somebody achieve success without the dark side? You know, that's why I always say, you know, the Stoics say, embrace the suck. The obstacle is the way. What is Tia going to have to go through to get this beautiful little baby? It's going to suck. You know what I mean? So another interesting thing is I don't look at the dark side of success as a negative, more as a necessity, as a recipe. When I'm going through the muck, right? You know, the most beautiful flower is the lotus. It grows in not only mud, but smelly mud, right? So when I wake up and I find myself in the muck, in the dark side, in the tough stuff, in the struggle, I've actually come to a place right now where I'm grateful for it because I know that it's the main ingredient of success. So there's an illusion that success is like being in flow and coasting, right? But ask somebody at the top of the table, they'll go, you know, yeah, right. Right.
But you just mentioned something. I have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Being in the flow, being in the flow is where I feel best and successful. And everybody searches to be in the flow, in that place where you lose track of space and time. And I used to be in the flow all the time. It used to be so easy. Now it's like I have to force myself to get in the flow. And I'm not, you know, I know there's ways to go about it, play music, to laughter can get you into the flow, but it's becomes a chore now. So at that point, I don't feel like I'm successful. I want to know what everybody who's listening thinks about being in that flow and what that feels like.
Yeah, the science of flow is fascinating. But you know, as you guys know me, I'm going to always challenge the common way of thinking. I believe it's an illusion. You know, I believe that if you wake up and you feel like you're in flow and you're having a great day and you're runner's high with whatever, it's an illusion because you just lost sight of the truth that there's two sides going on at all times. So I think that flow is like a high, just like a drug that we chase. It feels good and I love it. I love that drug. But what's interesting about flow, if you get into the science of flow and you read that book, I can't pronounce that guy's name, Mahali Kakabaka. But anyway,
everybody make sure you get that book by Malali
Mahali. But what's interesting about the science of flow that will be perfect for this conversation is the way that you get into flow, according to the science of it, is you face some sort of adversity in life and you react and respond to it in a proactive fashion where you move through it rather than away from it. And then you move into this flow state. So what's interesting about this getting into that proverbial state of flow is it's always prompted by you going through some sort of tough time and pushing through. Like the very nature of getting in a runner's high is you got to get through the sucky part of the run first. But here's what's interesting about flow. You're in the flow state and everything's just effortlessly happening. You're crushing your business goals and all of that stuff. But guess what happens after flow, right? Because it doesn't last forever. So when you move out of the state of flow, guess what the next thing that shows up every time? Struggle. So here's what's interesting about flow, because you brought it up. Flow doesn't exist without your ability to respond in a positive way to struggle. So what's the main ingredient of flow? Struggle. So why do we get so upset when the dark side shows up? You should be like, look at me, I'm about to go into flow. But everybody goes, fuck, I better read some more books about struggle and how to deal with this. Me, when things get tough, I don't just, it's not the tough get going. I get excited. Because that's
really
the only way the universe, listen, the only way the universe is showing you a sign that is in favor of your success is by giving you hard times.
Really?
Boom.
Boom.
I like that thought. And it's kind of like the light can't exist without the dark. Like we have to have the yin and the yang.
How would you even know that you were in the light if you didn't know what the dark looked like? I mean,
Right.
how silly are we as humans, you know?
Well, we just so badly want to only feel good. We want to only be on that high. We don't want to go through the lows. We don't want to be resilient. We just want to be handed resilience.
That's it. We want it wrapped up. What's up, Brian Swift? I love you, man. We want it wrapped up and put under a tree. And that's just not the way it happens. But if you're waiting for that gift under the tree, you will not be at that table, right? You have to create your own. So one of you said, I think it was you, Tia, you said something about, we have to take responsibility. The responsibility is ours, radical responsibility. And that is true. That is true. And that's the crappy part. That's another part of success formula that we hate is we're responsible for it. Right. But you also have to acknowledge, like, why would I take that responsibility? Why would I do the hard work and trudge through the mud, that struggle to get into flow? It's because it's my relationship with that North Star and flow. Like, how important is it to me? The analogy of having a baby is just perfect for it, because you will not only go through what you go through to have that baby, you will do it with pleasure.
Yeah.
Because of how big. So imagine if you set your business goals like that. Think about that, right? Imagine if
I have to disagree with going through childbirth with pleasure. Like,
but you know what I'm saying,
because you
like,
forget
right?
about it. But I'm
not saying you're excited about it, but
No,
you correlate that
Yeah.
it is necessary for what you want. And if people set their goals like that, Jules, nothing will stop them.
That's true. Why do we look at struggle? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, T.
You can look at it because pain with purpose. I think so many people look at the pain they go through without any purpose behind it. And childbirth is so obvious, the purpose that you're getting out of that pain. So I think that's why it's so easy and so simple to look at in that terms. But when it's your business, when it's something that's less tangible of the purpose, it's harder to grab onto and to keep going when the hard stuff is thrown at you.
Unless here's the secret. Perfectly poised, right? So what if Tia, so we know that, like, if my head's underwater and my greatest desire is air, I'll do everything short of dying to get that air. So that's the same example. Like, we'll go through whatever we have to have that baby, right? So the question is if I have a business goal, I can't say that my business goals are as important to me as air or my child, right? Which is why I will be prompted to not follow through there. So what do we do about that? So the other day, somebody was looking at my goal. I have goals put all over the place. And I made a statement the other day that kind of ruffled somebody's feathers. I said, my business goals are as important to me as my children. And I paused. And they were like, Jesus, this guy's got his priorities completely out of whack. And I said, well, let me explain further. The reason why I say that is because I build my business for my children. And that's when they got it. So if you can connect your desired state and your goals to the thing that matters most to you, that you would die for, that's how you get through. You understand?
Yeah, and we've got, is failing successful from Real Me Champion?
Well,
Great question.
I don't know if I'd say failing is successful, but you can't be successful without failing. When I'm coaching people, most people avoid failure. And I always say the person in the room here, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's me, that has failed the most will always be the most successful person. So I'll say, why don't you set a goal today to fail more?
Because you're not even taking a risk if you don't fail. You know, people live in that comfort zone.
Failure is a wonderful thing, guys.
People love to wear khaki pants. Nothing wrong with khaki pants, but people love the khaki pants, the nice pair of Keds, nothing wrong with that. But when there's like some cute little skinny jeans and stilettos in the corner, they're scared to wear it because there's fear of judgment. There's so many fears that we have that we become stifled by these fears.
Yeah. I mean, we forgive everyone for they know not what they do. We're just sleepwalking through life, doing the best that we can. I mean, our mother, father, teacher, preacher, and then you add society. I mean, think about this. Think about the fact that, I always say what we consume with regularity ends up being what we assume with regularity. Think about what we're looking at all day long. It's being completely controlled by somebody else, and we're looking at it all day long. And you're telling me that that's not wiring our brains, right? Neurons that fire together, wire together. So here we are walking
Wait,
around
say that
trying to make.
again. Neurons that fire
That's
together wire.
Hebb's theory. Yeah, it's the
I love
Hebbian
that.
theory. Neurons that fire together. So what that means is like whatever you do every day not only becomes habit, but it gets wired in and locked in. So if you try to do something else, that's going to override it and you're going to go back to that. So here you are, you wanted to do something else, but you're completely oblivious to all the programming during your formative years that you've had. And then this structure of looking at this stuff every single day, talking to the same people, watching the same thing. And if you watch the news right now, oh, baby, you're in trouble, right? Because you are completely locked in and tethered to the fact that this world is about to end if you're watching the news, right? So how are you going to go ahead and make a decision that might take 5 years to accomplish if you've already decided the world's going to end, right? So detach from the machine for a little bit, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like control what you consume, not just in food and water, but in people and in social media, and you will begin to reclaim control of this narrative. That sounds crazy, but you know it's true.
I mean, social media is huge. Social media is huge.
Yeah.
And
It's a big problem.
it is. And I think it leads to like just us down a huge path of self-doubt, depression, anxiety, comparison. But we're all addicted to it because there is that addictive element to it.
We're addicted to our habits.
Mm-hmm. How do you get over those kind of habits?
So we've been talking about it the whole time. And
Yeah.
this is what I say is success sucks.
Yeah.
Success sucks because what you're going to have to do is come up with something that is so important to you that you will trudge through and you know, the moment that you go to make a change. All right, let me give you an analogy. So, there's Chris Cushing. What's up, my friend? So she knows this analogy. So if you look at your habits and your current operating system and the way that you're interfacing with reality, you have no idea, but 95% of that is done by your subconscious mind. So the analogy is that you're in a 120,000 ton, that's how much they weigh, oil tanker. And you are moving forward at a pretty fast clip. And the captain takes the same route every single day, and it never does anything else. And as far as he's concerned, that's his job. So here comes Mika, and she taps on the captain's shoulder and says, "Hey, I have an idea. I would like to go this way today and eat healthy and stop doing this and start doing that." And then the captain goes, "Huh?" Right? And think about how impossible it would be if you've just made a little attempt at it, start and then stop. That's never going to happen. So what I have to do is I have to have a reason to turn that oil tanker around that is so important that I keep on tapping on it, and I show him that I'm never going to quit, and I start something and follow through and never quit. That's the only way you can turn that oil tanker around. But that's why it sucks. That's why it's so hard to climb the mountain of success. It's because it's hard, it's inconvenient, right? And all that. So the secret is you got to have a reason to go through that tough time, and then it becomes fun.
Wow. That is huge. And it goes back to what some of the great teachers have said, have your why be so meaningful, so big.
Why
And
power?
you echo that. Yeah, you're echoing that. And as we wrap it up, JC, what's the final message that you want to leave for our audience on, treasuring through the dark side of success? Like, what are your final words you want to leave?
Well, there's two versions of that, and I'm going to give you the one that I want to give. So one of those versions would be keep fighting through it. You can do it. But if you read as much as I read, and what the smartest people have their minds on is this: there is a very, very good chance that we're living in some sort of a simulation world. Whether you believe in it or not, there's no way of proving that it's not. So based on the fact, and you can't disprove this, that this all might be an illusion that we're talking about trudging through, my best advice for everybody is have fun. just have fun, enjoy yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. Try to keep your priorities straight, with your family and God and whatever it is that you currently think is important to you. But more importantly, have fun. You only get one shot at this thing, right? Don't put so much pressure on yourself to be like the best in the world at anything like that. And that's what I want to have on my tombstone. And part of my legacy is I had a good time. That's my best advice.
We had a good time. We had a great time with you, JC, and make sure you check him out. And his link is in the show notes. He has an amazing academy called the Make Sense Academy. I know a lot of you guys.
That's where we're teaching people this stuff.
Yeah. And it's going to blow up. Get in there before it's never going to be too late, but before.
Or it's too expensive.
Too expensive, right? And it's amazing. You learn every day. You give your heart and soul. You teach success, failure, and how to bring people's lives to the next level, along with your beautiful wife, whose name happens to be Mika, which
I'm the luckiest man alive. I'll tell you.
You
that.
are the luckiest man alive.
God.
Both Mikas and Tia are amazing, and so are you, JC. Guys, make sure you follow JC. His link is in the show notes. You need to know who he is, what he's doing, and how he's going to change your life. Thanks, guys. Welcome to Obsessed, where Mika, Tia, and I challenge the thoughts that limit you, where we provide the tools for transformation. Be prepared to be swept away into the raw power of obsession, unlocking secrets and stories behind the insatiable hunger for growth and change. This is more than just a podcast. This is your story. It is a manifesto for those who refuse to settle, who dare to dream, and who are relentless in the pursuit of living a great life. Get obsessed with your life.